From translation, ISV International Standard Version. This 71 day of the year. Today we are reading passages Joshua 5-8. Joshua chapter 5, verses 1-15. When all the Amorite kings west of the Jordan, and all the Canaanite kings near the sea heard how the Lord had dried up the Jordan before the Israelites until they had crossed over, their hearts melted in fear, and they lost their courage because of the Israelites. At that time the Lord said to Joshua, "Make flint knives for yourself and circumcise the Israelites again." So Joshua made flint knives and circumcised the Israelites at Gibeath-Haaraloth. Now this is why he did so. All the men of military age who came out of Egypt died in the wilderness after they came out of Egypt. For all the men who came were circumcised, but all the men who were born in the wilderness during the journey after they came out of Egypt had not been circumcised. For the Israelites had walked 40 years in the wilderness until all the nation, that is, all the men of military age who came out of Egypt, had perished because they did not obey the Lord. For the Lord had sworn to them that he would not let them see the land that he had sworn to their ancestors to give them, a land flowing with milk and honey. So he raised up their children in their place, and these whom Joshua circumcised. For they were uncircumcised, because they had not been circumcised on the way. When the circumcising of the whole nation was finished, the whole nation remained in their places in the camp until they were healed. Then the Lord said to Joshua, "Today I have rolled away the disgrace of Egypt from you." So that place has been called Gilgal to this day. While the Israelites were camped at Gilgal, they observed the Passover on the evening of the 14th day of the month on the plains of Jericho. On the day after the Passover, on that very day, they ate some of the produce of the land, unleavened bread and parched grain. The manna ceased on the day after they ate some of the produce of the land, and the Israelites no longer had manna. They ate from the crops of the land of Canaan that year. Now when Joshua was near Jericho, he looked up and saw a man standing in front of him with a drawn sword in his hand. Joshua went up to him and asked him, "Are you one of us or one of our enemies?" He answered, "No, I am the commander of the army of the Lord. Now I have come." Then Joshua fell with his face to the ground and worshipped, and asked him, "What does my Lord say to his servant?" The commander of the army of the Lord replied to Joshua, "Take off your sandals from your feet, for the place where you are standing is holy." And Joshua did so. Joshua chapter 6, verses 1-27. Now Jericho was tightly shut up because of the Israelites. No one went out and no one came in. The Lord said to Joshua, "See, I have given Jericho into your hand, along with its king and its valiant warriors. You shall march around the city, all the men of war, going around the city one time. You shall do this for 6 days. 7 priests shall carry 7 trumpets of ram's horns before the ark. On the 7th day you shall march around the city 7 times, and the priests shall blow the trumpets. When they make a long blast with the ram's horn, and you hear the sound of the trumpet, all the people shall shout with a great shout, and the wall of the city shall fall down flat, and the people shall go up, each one straight ahead." So Joshua son of Nun summoned the priests and said to them, "Take up the ark of the covenant, and have 7 priests carry 7 trumpets of ram's horns before the ark of the Lord." Then he said to the people, "Go forward. March around the city, with the armed men going before the ark of the Lord." As soon as Joshua had commanded the people, the 7 priests carrying the 7 trumpets of ram's horns before the Lord went forward, blowing the trumpets, while the ark of the covenant of the Lord followed them. The armed men went before the priests blowing the trumpets, and the rear guard followed the ark, while the trumpets blew continuously. Joshua commanded the people, "You shall not shout or make your voice heard, nor shall any word go out of your mouth, until the day I tell you to shout. Then you shall shout." So he had the ark of the Lord circle the city once. Then they returned to the camp and spent the night in the camp. Joshua got up early in the morning, and the priests took up the ark of the Lord. The 7 priests carrying 7 trumpets of ram's horns before the ark of the Lord went on continually, blowing the trumpets, while the armed men went before them, and the rear guard followed the ark of the Lord, while the trumpets blew continuously. On the 2nd day they marched around the city once and returned to the camp. They did this for 6 days. On the 7th day they rose early, at the dawning of the day, and marched around the city in the same way 7 times. Only on that day did they march around the city 7 times. And at the 7th time, when the priests had blown the trumpets, Joshua said to the people, "Shout, for the Lord has given you the city. The city and all that is in it shall be devoted to the Lord for destruction. Only Rahab the prostitute and all who are with her in her house shall live, because she hid the messengers we sent. As for you, keep yourselves from the things devoted to destruction, so that when you have devoted them, you do not take any of the devoted things, and make the camp of Israel accursed and bring trouble upon it. All the silver and gold and vessels of bronze and iron are holy to the Lord. They shall go into the treasury of the Lord." So the people shouted, and the trumpets were blown. When the people heard the sound of the trumpet, the people shouted with a great shout, and the wall fell down flat, so that the people went up into the city, straight ahead, and took the city. Then they devoted to destruction in the city all that was in it, both man and woman, young and old, ox, sheep, and donkey, with the edge of the sword. But to the 2 men who had spied out the land, Joshua said, "Go into the prostitute's house, and bring out from there the woman and all who belong to her, as you swore to her." So the young men who had been spies went in and brought out Rahab and her father and mother, her brothers and all who belonged to her, and they brought out all her relatives, and put them outside the camp of Israel. The city and all that was in it they devoted to destruction. Only they spared the silver and the gold, and the vessels of bronze and iron, and put them into the treasury of the house of the Lord. But Rahab the prostitute and her father's household, and all who belonged to her, Joshua spared. And she has lived in Israel to this day, because she hid the messengers whom Joshua sent to spy out Jericho. Joshua laid an oath on them at that time, saying, "Cursed before the Lord is anyone who tries to rebuild this city, Jericho. At the cost of his firstborn he shall lay its foundation, and at the cost of his youngest he shall set up its gates." So the Lord was with Joshua, and his fame spread throughout the land. Joshua chapter 7, verses 1 to 26. But the people of Israel broke faith in regard to the devoted things. For Achan the son of Carmi, son of Zimri, son of Zerah of the tribe of Judah, took some of the devoted things. And the anger of the Lord burned against the people of Israel. And Joshua sent men from Jericho to Ari, which is near Beth-aven, east of Bethel, and said to them, "Go up and spy out the land." And the men went up and spied out Ari. And they returned to Joshua and said to him, "Do not let all the people go up, but let about 2,000 or 3,000 men go up and attack Ari. Do not make all the people toil there, for it is a small town." So about 3,000 men went up there from the people. But they fled before the men of Ari, and the men of Ari killed about 36 of their men, and chased them from the gate as far as Shebarim, and struck them down on the descent. And the hearts of the people melted, and became like water. Then Joshua tore his clothes, and fell to the earth on his face before the ark of the Lord until the evening, he and the elders of Israel, and they put dust on their heads. And Joshua said, "Alas, O Lord God, why have you brought this people over the Jordan at all, to give us into the hand of the Amorites to destroy us? Would that we had been content to dwell beyond the Jordan. O Lord, what can I say, when Israel has turned their backs before their enemies? For the Canaanites and all the inhabitants of the land will hear of it, and will surround us and cut off our name from the earth. And what will you do for your great name?" The Lord said to Joshua, "Get up. Why have you fallen on your face? Israel has sinned. They have transgressed my covenant that I commanded them. They have taken some of the devoted things. They have stolen and deceived, and put them among their own belongings. Therefore the people of Israel cannot stand before their enemies. They turn their backs before their enemies, because they have become devoted for destruction. I will be with you no more, unless you destroy the devoted things from among you. Get up, consecrate the people, and say, 'Consecrate yourselves for tomorrow, for thus says the Lord, the God of Israel, there are devoted things in your midst, O Israel. You cannot stand before your enemies until you take away the devoted things from among you. In the morning, therefore, you shall be brought near by your tribes, and the tribe that the Lord takes shall come near by clans. And the clan that the Lord takes shall come near by households, and the household that the Lord takes shall come near man by man, and he who is taken with the devoted things shall be burned with fire, he and all that he has. For he has transgressed the covenant of the Lord, and has committed an outrage in Israel. So Joshua rose early in the morning, and brought Israel near by its tribes, and the tribe of Judah was taken. And he brought near the clans of Judah, and the clan of the Zerahites was taken. And he brought near the clan of the Zerahites man by man, and Achan the son of Carmi, son of Zimri, son of Zerah of the tribe of Judah, was taken. And Joshua said to Achan, "My son, give glory to the Lord, the God of Israel, and give praise to him. And tell me now what you have done, do not hide it from me." And Achan answered Joshua, "Truly I have sinned against the Lord, the God of Israel, and this is what I did. Among the spoils I saw a beautiful cloak from Shinar, and 200 shekels of silver, and a bar of gold weighing 50 shekels. Then I coveted them and took them. And behold, they are hidden in the earth inside my tent, with the silver underneath." Then Joshua sent messengers, and they ran to the tent, and behold, it was hidden in his tent, with the silver underneath. And they brought the things out of the tent, and brought them to Joshua and to all the people of Israel. And they laid them out before the Lord, and all Israel stoned him with stones, and they burned him with fire and stoned him with stones. And they raised over him a great heap of stones that remains to this day. Then the Lord turned from his burning anger. Therefore, to this day, the name of that place has been called the Valley of Achor. And Joshua said, "Why did you bring trouble on us? The Lord will bring trouble on you today." And all Israel stoned him with stones. They burned him with fire and stoned him with stones. And they raised over him a great heap of stones that remains to this day. Then the Lord turned from his burning anger. Therefore, to this day, the name of that place has been called the Valley of Achor. Joshua chapter 8, verses 1 to 35. And the Lord said to Joshua, "Do not fear and do not be discouraged. Take all the fighting men with you, and arise, go up to Ari. See, I have given into your hand the king of Ari, his people, his city, and his land. And you shall do to Ari and its king as you did to Jericho and its king. Only its spoil and its livestock you shall take as plunder for yourselves. Set an ambush against the city behind it." So Joshua and all the fighting men arose to go up to Ari. And Joshua chose 30,000 mighty men of valor, and sent them out by night. And he commanded them, "Behold, you shall set an ambush against the city, behind the city. Do not go very far from the city, but all of you be ready. And I and all the people who are with me will approach the city, and when they come out against us as before, we shall flee before them. And they will come out after us, until we have drawn them away from the city, for they will say, They are fleeing from us as before, so we shall flee from them. Then you shall rise from the ambush and take the city, and the Lord your God will give it into your hand. And when you have taken the city, you shall set the city on fire. You shall do according to the word of the Lord. See, I have commanded you." So Joshua sent them out. And they went to the place of ambush and lay in wait between Bethel and Ari, on the west side of Ari. But Joshua spent that night among the people. And Joshua arose early in the morning and mustered the people, and he went up with the elders of Israel, before the people to Ari. And all the fighting men who were with him went up and drew near, and came before the city, and camped on the north side of Ari. Now the valley was between them and Ari. And he took about 5,000 men, and set them as an ambush between Bethel and Ari, on the west side of the city. And the people took their positions, the main camp to the north of the city, and the ambush to the west of the city. And Joshua went into the midst of the valley that night. And when the king of Ai saw this, he and all his people, the men of the city, rose early and went out to meet Israel in battle, he and all his people, at the appointed time before the Arabah, to the place where he had made an ambush to the west of the city. But Joshua and all Israel pretended to be beaten before them, and fled in the direction of the wilderness. And all the people who were in Ai were called together to pursue them, and they pursued Joshua and were drawn away from the city. Not a man was left in Ai or Bethel who did not go out after Israel. And they left the city open and pursued Israel. Then the Lord said to Joshua, "Stretch out the javelin that is in your hand toward Ai, for I will give it into your hand." And Joshua stretched out the javelin that was in his hand toward the city. And the men in the ambush rose quickly from their place. They rushed in as soon as he stretched out his hand, and entered the city and captured it. And they set the city on fire. And the men of Ai looked back, and behold, the smoke of the city went up to heaven. And they had no power to flee this way or that way, and the people who had fled to the wilderness turned back upon the pursuers. Now when Joshua and all Israel saw that the ambush had taken the city, and that the smoke of the city went up, then they turned and struck down the men of Ai. And the others came out from the city against them, so they were in the midst of Israel, some on this side and some on that side. And they struck them down, until there was none left of who survived or escaped. But the king of Ai they took alive and brought him to Joshua. When Israel had finished killing all the inhabitants of Ai in the open wilderness where they had pursued them, and all of them had fallen by the edge of the sword until they were destroyed, then all Israel returned to Ai and struck it down with the edge of the sword. And all who fell that day, both men and women, were 12,000, all the people of Ai. But Joshua did not draw back his hand with which he stretched out the javelin until he had devoted all the inhabitants of Ai. Only the livestock and the spoil of the city Israel took as plunder for themselves. But they devoted all the inhabitants to destruction, as the Lord had commanded Joshua. And Joshua burned Ai and made it a forever desolate heap, as it is to this day. And he hanged the king of Ai on a tree until evening. And at sunset Joshua commanded, and they took his body down from the tree and threw it at the entrance of the city gate, and raised over it a great heap of stones, which stands there to this day. Then Joshua built an altar to the Lord, the God of Israel, in Mount Ebal, as Moses the servant of the Lord had commanded the people of Israel, as it is written in the book of the law of Moses, an altar of uncut stones, upon which no man has laid an iron tool. And they offered on it burnt offerings to the Lord and sacrificed peace offerings. And there, in the presence of the people of Israel, he wrote on the stones a copy of the law of Moses, which he had written. And all Israel, their elders and their officers and their judges, stood on both sides of the ark, in front of the Levitical priests who carried the ark of the covenant of the Lord, half of them in front of Mount Gerizim, and half of them in front of Mount Ebal, as Moses the servant of the Lord had commanded at first to bless the people of Israel. And afterward he read all the words of the law, the blessings and the curses, according to all that is written in the book of the law. There was not a word of all that Moses had commanded that Joshua did not read before all the assembly of Israel, and the women, and the little ones, and the strangers who lived among them.